Some routines are comforting. They offer predictability, a sense of control over our busy lives. But what if a mundane chore, a simple late-night errand, pulls you into a terrifying game of cat and mouse, where every shadow hides a predator and every silence screams of danger? This is the chilling true story of my encounter at Liberty Storage Units in Houston, Texas, a place that went from ordinary to utterly nightmarish in a single agonizing hour. I was 28 years old, living in a small apartment in Houston. Life was fairly standard: work, gym, trying to keep my tiny space organized. Like many city dwellers, I relied on a self-storage unit for overflow. My unit at Liberty Storage was pretty average, a 10 by 10 space on the third floor filled with old furniture, seasonal clothes, and boxes of sentimental junk. The facility itself was typical: rows upon rows of metal doors, a long, quiet main corridor, and security cameras at every turn. It usually felt safe, if a little desolate after hours. I often went late at night. It was quieter, easier to maneuver my car, and I worked odd shifts. This particular Tuesday, around 11:30 p.m., I needed to retrieve some documents for a project. It was a simple task, a quick in and out. The weather was mild, the city humming distantly, and I felt no premonition of the terror awaiting me. I pulled my car into the almost empty parking lot. Only a couple of other vehicles were there, likely abandoned or long-term. The main office was dark, locked. I swiped my access card at the gate, heard the familiar beep, and the heavy gate slid open with a low groan. My headlights cut through the gloom of the interior drive, illuminating the endless rows of gray units. I parked near the freight elevator, grabbed my small flashlight, and headed inside. The fluorescent lights hummed with a sterile, almost oppressive silence. I pressed the button for the third floor, and the elevator rose with a slow, grinding hum, carrying me into the stillness of the upper levels. The air was cool, dry, smelling faintly of concrete and dust. No sound but the distant city, muffled, and the hum of the old building. As the elevator doors slid open on the third floor, I stepped out into a long, brightly lit corridor. The unit stretched endlessly in both directions, identical metal doors punctuated by small numbers. It was completely silent, too silent. Usually there's some ambient noise, a vent, a distant hum, but here, just the echo of my own footsteps. I found my unit, 312, and began fumbling with my padlock. It was then that I heard it, a faint, almost imperceptible scrape sound from down the hallway, far to my left. It was indistinct, like something being dragged lightly across the concrete floor. I paused, my hand still on the lock, listening. Nothing, just the hum of the lights. I shrugged it off as the building settling, or maybe a mouse. I clicked open my padlock, pulled up the heavy metal door, and stepped inside, turning on my small flashlight to find the box I needed. I was inside my unit for maybe 5 minutes, digging through boxes. The scrape sound came again, closer this time, and clearer. It was definitely a scrape, followed by a soft thump. I froze, my heart giving a small jolt. My mind immediately went to rats, or maybe a maintenance worker. But it was late. I stuck my head out of my unit door, shining my flashlight down the hallway to the left. The hallway was empty, the harsh fluorescent lights reflecting off the polished concrete. Nothing. Probably just my imagination, I muttered to myself, ducking back inside. I quickly located the box of documents. As I reached for it, a new sound cut through the silence. A faint, low giggle. It was distinct, high-pitched, and absolutely terrifying. It sounded like it came from inside the hallway. My blood ran cold. This wasn't a mouse. This wasn't building settling. This was something else. This was someone. I crept to my unit door, slowly, quietly, pushing it open just enough to peer out. The hallway was still empty. But the giggle came again, closer, almost directly outside my unit, to my right. It was a mocking, childish sound, but filled with a sinister undertone. My heart began to pound against my ribs. My first instinct was to slam the door shut and call 911, but I knew I needed to see what it was. My hand trembling, I slowly extended my phone out, using it to record, ready to capture proof. As my phone moved past the edge of my open door, I caught it. A fleeting glimpse. A figure. It was partially obscured by the corner of the corridor, but I saw enough. A low-slung, crouched form moving unnaturally, almost crawling. It was too fast, too quick, and then it was gone, disappearing around the corner to my right, towards the stairwell. Panic surged through me. My mind raced. What was that? A child? A very small adult? The way it moved, it was wrong. I knew I had to get out. I slammed my unit door shut, the metal clanging loudly, the sound echoing through the dead silence. My hands were shaking so violently I almost dropped my phone. I fumbled for my car keys, my thumb hovering over the panic button. Should I press it? It would make noise, a lot of noise. And if it was still out there nearby? I decided against it. My only option was the elevator. I had to get to the elevator. I quickly put the padlock back on my unit, my fingers clumsy with fear. Every second felt like an eternity. I pulled my unit door down, locked the padlock, and started to walk, then power walk, then jog towards the elevator. My eyes darted from side to side, scanning every shadow, every crack between the units. The fluorescent lights overhead seemed to hum louder, mocking my fear. As I neared the elevator, the scrape-thump sound returned, directly behind me this time, followed by a louder, more aggressive giggle. I didn't dare look back. My legs were burning. My breath hitched in my throat. I pounded the elevator call button repeatedly, my eyes locked on the doors, willing them to open. The red up arrow flickered, then down. The elevator was on another floor. It felt like an eternity. Then, the lights in the corridor began to flicker erratically, not just one, but a whole section. They buzzed, dimmed, then snapped off completely for a horrifying second, plunging the corridor into near total darkness, illuminated only by the faint emergency lights. The scrape-thump giggle seemed to be right behind me. I could almost feel a cold breath on my neck. My heart was a drum against my ribs. Just as the lights flickered back on, revealing a completely empty hallway behind me, the elevator doors slid open with a slow, agonizing groan. I dove inside, pressing the ground floor button repeatedly, my finger almost breaking the plastic. The doors started to close, slowly, so agonizingly slowly. Just as they were about to meet, a small dark object rolled in from the hallway, stopping the doors from closing completely. It was a child's toy, a small red plastic ball. Then a low guttural growl emanated from the gap, a sound that was far too deep, far too menacing to come from a child. My blood ran cold. This wasn't just some creepy kid. This was something else, something dangerous. With a desperate cry, I kicked the ball back out into the hallway, forcing the doors to finally slide shut. The elevator began its slow descent. I stood pressed against the back wall, eyes wide, shaking uncontrollably, trying to catch my breath. The ride down felt like an eternity. Every creak, every shift of the cables sounded like a footstep outside. When the doors finally opened on the ground floor, I didn't hesitate. I sprinted out of the elevator, across the silent, empty lobby, towards the main exit door. The security gate at the front was still open, thank God. I burst out into the cool night air, running full tilt towards my car. I fumbled with my keys, trying to hit the unlock button, my hands trembling too much. Just as I got the door open, a sound cut through the silence of the night, a loud, mocking, high-pitched giggle. It came from the shadows of the storage building itself, from the third floor, from my floor. I looked up. In a single, brief moment, I saw it. A pale, gaunt face, too angular, too wide-eyed, pressed against the window of the third-floor office, staring directly down at me. It wasn't human. Not entirely. It vanished as quickly as it appeared. I dove into my car, slammed the door shut, and hit the lock button. My hands shaking so violently, I struggled to get the key into the ignition. I started the engine and peeled out of the parking lot, leaving the silent, ominous storage facility behind. I didn't stop until I was back on the brightly lit, bustling streets of Houston, surrounded by the comforting sounds of traffic and distant sirens. My heart was still pounding 1,000 beats a minute. I pulled over to the side of the road, trembling, and immediately called 911. I reported a suspicious person, describing what I saw and heard, trying to make it sound as rational as possible, leaving out the parts about the rolling ball and the distorted face, fearing they wouldn't believe me. Police responded, but by the time they arrived at Liberty Storage, they found nothing. The gates were still open, but the facility was empty. No signs of forced entry, no disturbed units, no unusual heat signatures on their thermal cameras. They assured me they'd increase patrols and review security footage, but implied it was probably just my imagination or a prank. I knew it wasn't. The fear was too real, the terror too profound. I never went back to that storage unit. I called the facility the next day, explained I wouldn't be returning, and paid the remaining lease. I didn't care about the boxes inside. Whatever was in that unit or in that facility could keep it. The experience haunted me for weeks. Sleep became a luxury, filled with nightmares of dark corridors and distorted giggles. Every shadow in my apartment seemed to hold a lurking presence. I became hyper-aware of sounds, jumping at every creak of the building or distant siren. I learned to live with a new kind of fear, a primal dread that a seemingly ordinary place could hide such malice. I still take late-night drives sometimes, but I avoid quiet, isolated places. I still use self-storage, but never at night and always with a friend. The memory of that pale, gaunt face in the window, watching me, never truly fades. It taught me that sometimes the most terrifying things aren't ancient curses in crumbling castles, but hidden evils lurking in the mundane, waiting in the silence of our everyday lives. Liberty Storage Unit stands today a silent, imposing monument to countless hidden possessions, and for me, a personal tomb of terror. Its rows of lockers hold secrets, its corridors still echo with silence, a silence that might just be waiting for its next late-night visitor. The curse of that night has not ended for me. This investigation leaves us with a profound sense of unease, a chilling realization that even our most convenient, everyday facilities can harbor unspeakable horrors, their dark pasts forever sealed within their confines, guarding the tormented souls they contain, or perhaps the predators they attract. If this descent into the chilling reality of the Midnight Locker sent shivers down your spine, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more chilling true stories. Turn on notifications so you don't miss our next journey into the unknown. Share your thoughts in the comments. What do you believe truly happened at Liberty Storage in Houston, Texas? Until next time, stay vigilant and beware what might be lurking in the dark corners of your everyday world.